Hey, what's up? This is Terrell Davis, and you're listening to the Live Life on Offense podcast.
Blue 42, hut, hike.
Welcome to the Live Life on Offense podcast with Hall of Fame running back and two-time Super Bowl champion Terrell Davis and myself, Kevin Schumacher, real estate entrepreneur and CEO of the Terrell Davis Group. We dive deep into what it takes to develop the championship mentality for your business and your life. We provide you the playbook for entrepreneurs that moves the chains down the field so you can live a life that is more than just existing, but a true life on offense. Let's kick it off. TD, what's up, man?
Hey, Kev, how you doing today?
Man, I'm good. It's been a great week.
Yes, indeed.
So there's a little pressure here and there in the league I'm seeing of things going on with some coaching, and really wanted to sort of hit home on a few things that I really wanted to sort of break down sort of the value of a coach and / mentor, because obviously there's life coaches, and you've had many coaches in your career and in your life, and really wanted to just sort of break that down, the sort of the importance, but just how to find a good coach.
How to find a good coach? Yeah, that's a great question. And for me, my life, because I was in sports my entire life since I was the age of 7 years old, I've been sort of exposed to coaches on and off the field. My first coach was at the age of 7 years old. I was playing Pop Warner football, so I had a lot of coaches there. And one of my coaches in particular, his name was Frank White, became my mentor. And you say, well, how does he become a mentor? Well, I think mentors you sort of know them when you see them. And for him, not only was he a coach on the field, but he took interest in my life away from the field. And so he had a son named Corey White, another son named Sean and Reggie, and they were really good friends of mine. And so he just kind of gravitated to being sort of that second father figure to me. We would spend the night over their house on the weekends after our games. He would sort of be that guy that would tell you the right and wrong things to do. Tell you if you're eating too much. They call them back then zuzus and wham whams. You know what that is, Kevin?
I don't.
That's a lot of sugar. That's a lot of sugar. That's a lot of the treats that we used to eat.
Right.
And so he would always tell you about the zooms and wham whams, and it wasn't good for you. And of course, you never wanted to hear that. But I think the most important thing for finding a mentor, it's somebody who is going to be real, authentic, and honest with you. And somebody's going to be there, give you time, give you advice. And a lot of times as a young man or woman, it's tough to hear it sometimes because you think you know everything. At the age of 7 years old, 8 years old, not that I thought I knew everything, but still, you don't like to be told what to do and how to do it. But then you start realizing, wow, everything that they're saying is so true. You hanging out with the wrong crew. Sometimes you're trying to skip practice, you're trying to skip school, you do all these things, and you realize that what they're saying is really true. And for me, Frank White was there when things weren't great, and he was there when things weren't great, when nobody was around, and he was doing his thing. For example, I lost my dad at the age of 13, and I went off the rails. At the age of 13, it was a real horrible time in my life. Because my dad was a mentor in a different way. My dad was he was the best daddy that he could be. He was unique in the way he raised us. He raised us to be tough. He raised us to kind of be self-sufficient, to be independent, to be free thinkers, and guys who can sort of live beyond their means in terms of we had to grow up early. We had to grow up early. We were being taught things that young kids probably shouldn't have been taught at that time. But my dad was from the streets of St. Louis, and so he was a street hustler, and he wanted to make sure that his six black boys, had a tougher life or understanding what life was like outside of the home, and so he prepared us for that, which was good. But so with Frank, when my dad passed away, I lost it because I didn't have at that time, Frank and I were still very close, but we weren't talking as much. And so when my dad passed away, I just thought that life was over. I thought life had no meaning because you don't ever expect your dad
Right, for
to
sure.
pass away at that time. And so I thought that my dad would be around for a long time until I got old and married and was great, but he wasn't. So when he passed away, I started hanging out with the wrong crew, got into some trouble, and really almost lost my life. It was one incident one night. I went out with some buddies, and it was an after party, and I was in the wrong side of town, and all of a sudden I find myself staring down the barrel of a shotgun, and that was not, yeah, believe me, man. After that incident, I went home and I just had
Reevaluated.
yeah, like what was I doing before that? And so I was out hanging out with the wrong people, and it was just not a good situation. But Frank, but Frank came back into my life, and it was kind of ironic because after that moment, and I was thinking when I realized that okay, I'm heading down the wrong path, hanging out with the wrong kids. My mom was working 2 jobs. My dad had passed away, so it was kind of like when the cat's away, the mice would play kind of thing. And so we were running around, my brothers and I. And after that incident, I thought about, listen, I got to change my life. And I ended up running to Frank like a week later. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, hey, I'm not playing sports right now. I'm not doing anything. And he's like, dude, you need to get back into playing football. You need to go back. You need to change. I was at Morris High School. He told me to transfer to a different high school. And so everything he told me, I did. I transferred, started playing ball again. And, it was important because at that time, he was one of few voices that I was going to listen to. And then when I transferred schools, started playing football again, then the high school I went to, Lincoln, we had our head coach, his name was Vic Player. He became a real good mentor to me, and I ended up having like 5 really strong mentors at Lincoln High School. And I tell you that there couldn't have been a better place for me to be at that time of my life because my head coach, Vic Player, he was also my history teacher. So I had my head coach, who was my history teacher, and I thought he was the smartest man on this planet. I used to just look at him like, wow, he is so smart. And he would just, I'd see him in the classroom, so he held me accountable, would check my grades. We had a strong, strict policy. If your grades weren't up, you weren't going to play. And so I was in on that. Our hall monitor, his name was Charlie Polk. He was another mentor. He was, so I had all these positive mentors, all these men in my life. And I'm telling you, if they weren't there to guide me through my high school and to get me to make up all the classes that I had failed over at Morris High School, man, I don't know where I would be today, but it was so important for my life.
Well, and you look back, sometimes you don't really realize the mentorship in the process. But when years later you look back, and it's amazing how certain people made a significant impact on your life. And one of the things that you've talked a lot about is just being coachable. Being being open. They always say that success leaves clues, and
Right.
and just and having an awareness of what you want, and then modeling the success of others. And as you continue to grow and through your career, what specific what specific things were you able to model and I guess duplicate that others did that really made an impact?
Well, you said the word coachable. Let's talk about that one first. And it's the ability for me was the ability to just listen to what someone is saying and then just kind of you got to check your ego. We all think I know for me, I thought I was a shit. I mean, I thought I was at a very young age. I was like, I'm big. And so there was a part of it where having to sort of break down any thought or preconceived notion about something and leave room for some other idea or answer or possible thought about it, because I thought that I knew this and this is what it was, and if I thought it was this, then that's it. There was no discussion. And so when I was allowed to open my mind up to being coachable on things that I thought I already knew, it was amazing how I was able to transform. And really, a lot of that was as lifestyle driven. It was my perception of whether it was college, and I thought college was just like a farce. I'm not going to college, or not to think it was a farce, but just thinking that it was someplace that I just knew I wasn't going to be able to go. Like college was not even part of my mindset or thinking growing up. It was not obtainable. It was just where I grew up. People weren't going to college. That was not part of the plan. And so when I was able to be coachable and have my mentors open the idea of college for me, it was amazing, So because I didn't even take my SAT until my senior year. That's how college wasn't even on the plan. I flunked my freshman year in college, high school, and so none of the things that I was doing, including sports at the time, I wasn't this 5-star running back coming out of Lincoln High School. I played nose guard and I played fullback, and there was no indication that I would be going to college. So I opened my mind up to that, and that took some time. It didn't happen overnight, but so then it was okay. Wow, there's a whole world. Okay, so college is a possibility, and so then I started doing things that started, making college more possible. Same thing on the field, where you start looking at, oh, maybe I can be a good player, and it's and accepting the coaching that will allow you to be a better running back or a better defensive back or whatever it is. So that's what happened.
Do you
to me.
feel like your mentors sort of exposed the conversation, like where they were, opening up, you're getting you to a point where, they had the dialogue with you, sort of like the, if you did this, or, if this, this could be the outcome. Was there some of those conversations through the process
Yeah, but it was that. It was also somebody seeing things in you that you didn't see, seeing things in you that you don't see, and having a different perspective, seeing that you can go to college, or I can go to college, seeing that I had a talent that I wasn't maximizing. Like I said, I played nose guard or fullback, and I had my mentor telling me, boss, that was my nickname. That from the time I was 7 years old, he'd recognized that I was a really good running back. And for me, I didn't want to play running back because it was just too much pressure to play running back. And having him, Frank, saying every time he saw me and trying to, kind of force it on me, like, hey, you have a talent at running, you're running back. And so you need to go ahead and chase that part. And, so a lot of times mentors are giving you confidence. They're looking at things and telling you what you can do. And they're seeing things in you that you didn't think you had in you, was super important for me. I don't know if I would have discovered that, at the later time of my life, that playing running back would have been beneficial to me. I was okay with playing defensive line and fullback. That was fun to me. I didn't want the pressure of being a running back. I just wanted to go do my thing. So it was great for them to come and show support, and just from a mental standpoint and an emotional standpoint. When you have somebody you can lean on, someone who's been there, someone who can tell you, hey, I've been down that road. This is what it looks like. When you do this, if you don't get your degree, the chances of you leaving this area is just not high at all. You staying here and being in San Diego and not having a high school diploma was important. So I focused on that. I focused on those little things that my mentor was telling me, my coaches were telling me. And at one point, I remember thinking this. I remember thinking that I just want to be able to get my diploma, and then that's when I knew college was possible. And so I took my SAT. I wanted to just get my diploma and give myself a chance to get to college. That was my next goal. And I remember that being it, and how excited I was that there was another element to my life that I was looking forward to doing. And it was just going to college. That's it.
Right.
And I remember at one point that wasn't even on the radar, going to college. But then when it became that was the next goal, I was excited about that. And
well,
I love those guys for credit.
And so many times people get in such a mode of complacency, and like our buddy Mike talks about judgment mode, and it's really easy to be to judge others instead of lowering your guard and being open-minded and being willing to be in even a vulnerable position to take in what others are doing to literally model success. And looking at the last 5, 6, 7 years, now there's coaches for everything, and I've had a coach for 10 years, and just the whole accountability of, like what you said, it's sometimes you have a roadmap, but it's a matter of tweaking the plays a little bit and bringing an awareness to areas that you can perfect, and then hold you accountable to those actions.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's coaching is so important, and here's where I think it's really important. It was really important for me was once you leave one coach, and I guess Frank's been my coach my entire life, but we assume that coaching only applies to sports, and so you leave sports, you leave high school, you get to college, and then you think, all right, I got my college coaches, and now I'm kind of done with coaching, and that's not true. Coaching, even for those who are successful, even when I was in the pros and got to the Broncos and was the best running back in I guess in the NFL, had won 2 Super Bowls, had done everything that any back could ask for, I was still being coached every single day hard. I was still being coached on the mistakes or not mistakes, but whatever it was, every single play. If you know anything about sports or the NFL, we're coached and evaluated on every single play, every single practice, every single game, and you get that coaching constantly. And so it's kind of it was a reminder for me that didn't matter where I was in my life, whether I was trying to be successful or I was already successful. Coaching is so important, and it was for me. And I continue to take coaching. And here's the hard part about coaching is that we don't. It's hard for me or anybody. Not for me. I can't speak for anybody. For me, sometimes to swallow when you're at a certain point in your life and you say, all right, somebody comes in to give you a critique and you're like, oh man, I hate that. but you got to take it. You got to take it, And so I call that eating your broccoli. That's my eating your broccoli deal. Is where I hate broccoli, but I love the benefits of it. And you just you get this advice from somebody, or you look at something like few things that I didn't like to do was I don't like watching myself on TV. I don't like to hear myself on the radio. And part of getting better at something is that you have to watch yourself on TV and you have to hear yourself to hear what you sound like or to see what you look like on TV and sound like. And you have to make those corrections and changes and say, oh, okay, I see what's going on. And that is a hard part to swallow. But you have coaches who will point those things out to you when you're watching yourself on film as a player, or just whatever you're doing.
Right.
And,
well,
it's super important.
Well, and the other thing I noticed, and I'll use an example of like some professional fighters, they'll travel the country to seek out the best of the best in whether it's learning jujitsu or whatever it is that they need to tweak and perfect in order to compete against the contender they're up against, the person they're going to be fighting that in the months to come. But one thing I look at is that in every industry, so many times people they stay in their own neighborhood or their own backyard, and that's all they're exposed to, versus getting out of their comfort zone and going into other markets or other areas to expand their knowledge and their gain that competitive advantage or edge. So.
Yeah, so you're talking about it's just it's just it's just when you're seeking a mentor, find somebody that's in whatever field, whatever thing that you're looking to do, and if they've done it before, and follow and model what they're doing, and ask them, would you mentor me? I've done that before. I've done it with Magic Johnson. I've had Magic. He's not everyday mentor or coach, but I've spent some time with him, kind of picking his brains, and he's given me some words of advice and some really good stuff as well.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So that was the one I seeked out because I said Magic is doing what I would love to do. Magic is knocking it down, and I try to do that with many people. Just pick their brains and try to get some advice, and if they have time to be a mentor, that's fantastic. And so you try to get the coaching from people that you see yourself being like. And there's a lot of people out there who would love to share their success and how they've gotten there, and to just help you, just to be out there to lend a hand, to lend some advice to you. And I advise anybody, if that's what they want to do, if you're looking to do something, whatever field or discipline you're looking to be successful in, seek someone out in that field and get their advice. And then there's just people who just will be a life coach. They just love to just give back and help you succeed, and that's really kind of part of what it is. And I don't know anybody that's been successful who doesn't have a coach, and that's I think that's pretty important.
Well, and like we talked, is getting in that position of being vulnerable to break things down, to really dial in on what is important, and sometimes it's a matter of people asking the tough questions of what does success look like to you, and that's success to you is different than others, but and at different times of your life as well. So, but the accountability. And like you always say, and it's my favorite quote from you is being true to the game, being true to yourself.
True to the game. You like that, don't you?
I like that. It hits home.
It hits home, but it's true.
Yeah. So, all right, TD. Well, I appreciate you breaking it down, and I look forward to catching up next week.
Hey, good job, Kevin. Thanks.
Thanks, brother.
If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you subscribe and review everywhere you listen to podcasts. And you think this will make a difference in someone else's life, make sure you share it with them. Check out all the other episodes and other valuable resources at livelifeonoffense.com.